Okay, power supply. This is a 3-channel power supply. We can see on the screen after we turn it on, we have 3 channels, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. They represent channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. Negative, positive, black negative, red positive. These default to 3 amps output on each channel. This is a lot of current, so the first thing I'll say is we very rarely need 3 amps in our circuits. If we put 3 amps in a circuit and something is wrong with our circuit, there's a very high chance that something will blow up. So these power supplies will both set the voltage and current limit, so we can set the maximum current that the power supply will provide to a circuit. So this is very handy when we want to not blow things up. So I'm going to now set channel 1 to give me a 5-volt output with 100 milliamps maximum current. To do this, I press channel 1 button, I press my voltage, and I move my cursor. And as you can see, the cursor moves here, and I set this to 5 volts. Now I press the current, and the same principle occurs here. I move my cursor, and I can set this down, and I'll actually only want 100 milliamps, so that would be 0.1 amps. So now this is set up. What I can do now, I'm using channel 1, so I plug my lead in, and in this case here, I'm going to use the digital multimeter to prove that we have the correct current coming out. My digital multimeter is set on volts, and I'm going to connect the output of the power supply to the input of the multimeter, like so. Now, I need to turn on my power supply. So I have channel 1 selected, and I press the output button. This now turns green. It shows that I'm giving 5 volts, and it shows that I'm giving no current. No current is flowing through the circuit. And the multimeter is reading that its input is at 5 volts. Now, to give you an example of current limiting, if I was to short these 2 leads together, I create a direct short from the power supply, and I want the power supply to only try and deliver 100 milliamps of power. Anything more than that, stop. So to prove that that's going to happen, I'm going to touch these 2 together, and we're going to see what happens with the power supply. So I put them together, the power supply immediately goes up to 0.1 or 100 milliamps. It reduces the voltage to 0. The multimeter shows that I'm not having an input of any volts now, so the power supply has limited the current at 100 millivolts to prevent any damage. If I remove these connections, now return to delivering 5 volts. If I want to enable channel 2, exact same procedure occurs, I just use the channel 2 button. So if I turn the output off, I press this output button, I can say channel 2, and now I've selected channel 2, and I want to change the voltage. I press voltage, I press channel 2, and then move it to 3. Let's generate 3.3 volts on channel 2, and we change our current to 100 milliamps. It's all the way down to 100 milliamps. So now I have 5 volts on channel 1, 3.3 volts on channel 2. So if I look at my outputs now, if I press the output on, now I have 2 voltages output. I'm currently connecting channel 1, it's reading 5 volts. If I take these out of here, and put these into channel 2, now I'm reading 3.3 volts. Turn off, press the output button.